Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Condemnation from Ukraine's Western allies pour in after Russia's launching of a major overnight attack on Kyiv. The EU summons Russian ambassador over its strike hitting EU delegation office. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is to embark on a visit to Japan. He'll attend the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. Discussion on defense and security, trade and economy, technology on agenda. And Democrats in the U.S. House of Foreign Affairs Committee call out Trump's singling out India with tariffs as hurting Americans and sabotaging the U.S.-India relationship. Russia pounded Ukraine with missiles and drones early on Thursday, killing at least 15 people, including 4 children, in capital Kyiv in a sweeping attack President Volodymyr Zelensky dubbed as Moscow's answer to diplomatic efforts to end its war. At least 38 people were also wounded in the hours-long assault on the city, which damaged buildings in 7 districts, including the headquarters of the European Union mission to Ukraine and the British Council. Mayor Vitali Klitschko described it as one of the biggest attacks on the city in recent months. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said that the EU is summoning the Russian envoy in Brussels after Moscow's overnight drone and missile attack on Ukraine's capital damaged the EU delegation's building in Kyiv. And European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has condemned Russia's latest strikes in Kyiv as outrageous. Von der Leyen announced that Brussels will soon impose fresh sanctions on Moscow and is pushing ahead to use frozen Russian assets for Ukraine's reconstruction.
I'm outraged by the attack on Kyiv, also hitting our EU offices. This was the deadliest drone and missile attack on the capital since July. And as you can see behind me on the screen, it was an attack also on our delegation. I just spoke with our deputy ambassador, and I'm relieved that none of our staff were harmed. Last night's attack struck in close proximity of the diplomatic mission, the representation of our union. 2 missiles hit in a distance of 50 meters of the delegation within 20 seconds.
Meanwhile, Russian authorities said they destroyed over 100 Ukrainian drones overnight. A Ukrainian attack sparked a fire at an oil refinery in the Krasnodar region but caused no casualties. Russian Governor Vyacheslav Fedorishev said in a post that fire from an enemy attack was extinguished in the shortest possible time. Now, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius has said that a new Rheinmetall factory would shore up weapons supplies for Ukraine as well as for Germany and NATO partners. According to Rheinmetall CEO, Pistorius spoke during the opening of Rheinmetall's new ammunition plant in northern Germany, which will be the largest in Europe at full capacity. Along with Pistorius, the opening of the plant was also attended by NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and German Vice Chancellor Lars Klingbeil.
When it comes to negotiations, I learned in my life quite early that there is one rule you should obey to always. Never put anything off the table before the negotiation started, and never put anything on the table before negotiation started. That would be the biggest mistake we can do. Of course, we consider every contribution we might be able and willing to deliver, to provide for security guarantees for Ukraine, but we don't discuss that now publicly. And another point is, obviously, Germany is the biggest supporter of Ukraine after the US, and our role will become even more important in the months and years to come. So there's nobody I know in the world who will ever doubt our commitment in supporting Ukraine.
Denmark, under its EU presidency, is organizing an informal meeting of foreign affairs ministers on Thursday as well as Friday. The meeting will provide an opportunity for a strategic discussion of the EU's security and defense cooperation, particularly with regard to the EU's military support to Ukraine and defense readiness. These informal meetings take place once every 6 months. Now, despite a large strike on Kyiv, the Kremlin has said on Thursday that it is still interested in pursuing peace talks with Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russian forces were continuing to target Ukrainian military and military-related infrastructure and has not deliberately targeted civilians. But Ukraine was continuing its own strikes against Russian infrastructure as well, including against civilian infrastructure. That's what the Kremlin has alleged.
The special military operation continues. You can see the attacks on Russian infrastructure and often on the Russian civil infrastructure by the Kyiv regime are also continuing. The Russian armed forces are also fulfilling their task. As stated, they continue to hit military and military-related infrastructure facilities. The strikes are successful, the targets are being destroyed, and the special military operation continues. At the same time, Russia remains interested in continuing the negotiation process in order to achieve our goals.
Separately, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with on the issue of Israel and on the issue of Middle East, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar at the State Department on Wednesday to discuss key issues in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria as well as Iran. In the meeting, Saar thanked Rubio for his firm commitment to standing by Israel over the years, as well as for the clear support of President Trump's administration for Israel. The two diplomats also discussed the various challenges and opportunities in the Middle East. The Trump administration has proposed new rules to restrict the duration of visas for international students, cultural exchange visitors and foreign journalists. Officials said the move is designed to tighten oversight and reduce misuse. The proposed regulation would create a fixed time period for F visas for international students, J visas that allow visitors on cultural exchange programs to work in the U.S., and I visas for members of the media. According to the proposed data, the student and exchange visa periods would be no longer than 4 years, while the visa for journalists would be up to 240 days, or in the case of Chinese nationals, 90 days. Ethiopia's government and Nigerian Dangote Group have signed a $2.5 billion deal to build a huge fertilizer production plant in Gode in southeast Ethiopia. Aliko Dangote, president of Nigerian conglomerate Dangote Group, said it's going to be the second largest plant of urea in the world, while CEO of Ethiopian Investment Holdings said the overall project will include a pipeline that will be constructed to connect Gode with natural gas reserves in Kalu and Hilala Reserve.
Today is going to be second largest plant of urea in the world. Compared to our own in Nigeria, the same size. So this is very, very historic, and it is by far even more than what Ethiopia is consuming. But by the time it is ready, I know agriculture is being propelled in Ethiopia on a massive level.
The overall project would also include a pipeline that will be constructed that will connect Gode with our natural gas reserve in Kalu and Hilala reserve. And the project timeline that we're currently estimating is 40 months from financing to completion.
In Bangladesh, academic activities came to a halt at all engineering universities and colleges on Thursday as students under the banner of Engineering Rights Movement enforced a complete shutdown. The protest follows Wednesday's clashes in Dhaka, where law enforcers allegedly attacked them during demonstrations. On Thursday morning, classrooms and exam halls at Rajshahi, Khulna and Chittagong University of Engineering and Technology remained empty. Similar scenes were reported nationwide, with students boycotting all academic activities. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Border guarding forces of India and Bangladesh hold Director General level Coordination Conference in Dhaka. India's Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi interacts with representatives of military industries in Algeria. And the world's largest financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, completes 11 years in India.
When enough food is produced to feed everyone on the planet, hunger should be the thing of the past. How did we get here and what can be done about it?
India is a very important country for us, a very important partner. We also hope to be tapping into India's growing influence in the world. So we have signed a letter of intent to establish a partnership where India will make available in a predictable way affordable and high quality rice for our operations.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the Democrats in the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee have hit out at President Donald Trump for what they call a double standard in penalizing India for buying Russian oil while sparing China, the largest purchaser. The committee warned that Trump's 50% tariffs on Indian imports are not only hurting Americans at home, but also undermining 2 decades of bipartisan efforts to build U.S.-India ties. Taking to social media platform X, the committee said, and I quote, "Instead of imposing sanctions on China or others purchasing large amounts of Russian oil, Trump singling out India with tariffs, hurting Americans and sabotaging the U.S.-India relationship in the process. It's almost like it's not about Ukraine at all." End quote. Indian-American lawmakers too have voiced their concerns. Congressman Suhas Subramaniam has said, and I quote, "These tariffs will raise costs on every American and actually hurt manufacturing in our country." Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy has gone further, saying the new tariffs announced by President Donald Trump are reckless and self-destructive. Now, Japan's top trade negotiator has cancelled a visit to the United States at the last minute on Thursday, further delaying talks designed to finalize a $550 billion investment package offered by Tokyo in exchange for relief on punishing tariffs. Now, Akazawa Ryoshi, who's Japan's top trade negotiator, was due to fly to Washington to craft a written confirmation of the terms of the package, such as the split of investment and returns between the U.S. and Japan. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick had also said there would be an announcement this week on Japan's investment. But Japanese officials have repeatedly said that they would rather have an amended presidential executive order first to remove overlapping tariffs on Japanese goods before releasing a joint document on the investment details. Japan's government spokesperson Yoshimasa Hayashi said that it was found that there are points that need to be discussed at the administrative level during coordination with the American side. Therefore, the trip has been cancelled. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Japan for 2 days starting Friday. This will be the Prime Minister's 8th visit to Japan and the first summit with Prime Minister Ishiba. The highlight of the visit is the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. It drives the agenda for the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership. Take a look at this report from DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh.
At the invitation of Prime Minister of Japan, Shigeru Ishiba, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Japan from 29 to 30th August to participate in the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. This will be Prime Minister Modi's 8th visit to Japan and the first summit with PM Ishiba. The annual summit between India and Japan represents the highest level dialogue mechanism that exists between the two countries, and it drives the agenda of the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership.
This is a significant visit for several reasons. It's Prime Minister Modi's first annual summit with Prime Minister Ishiba. It is also his first standalone visit to Japan in nearly 7 years. He last visited for the annual summit in 2018. This will be a visit that will be fully dedicated to the bilateral agenda between India and Japan. This is also Prime Minister's 8th visit to Japan since he took office in 2014.
The two leaders will review the special strategic and global partnership between India and Japan, including defense and security, trade and economy, technology and innovation, people-to-people exchanges, as well as discuss issues of regional and global importance. The visit will reaffirm the long-standing special bond of friendship between India and Japan.
India and Japan are trust-bound partners, aiming at becoming the two largest pillars of growth. Growth that is open, rules-based, democratic, the kind of growth that China could ill afford to supply. Prime Minister Modi may still miss his soulmate, the late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but we must go on. And with the present leader, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, both leaders should dream big and think long.
A special cultural welcome awaits Prime Minister Modi upon his arrival in Tokyo. During his visit, PM will engage with the Indian diaspora, interact with other political leaders from Japan. He will also participate in a business leaders forum with captains of Japanese and Indian industry. These interactions are aimed at deepening the vibrant trade, investment and emerging technologies partnerships between the two countries. After Tokyo, both Prime Ministers are expected to travel to Sendai, a city known for its semiconductors, in a bullet train. India and Japan are two of the leading democracies in Asia and among the 5 top economies in the world. When the two leaders meet for the annual summit, they will have an opportunity to take stock of the progress made over the years in diverse domains, from security to semiconductors. India-Japan partnership also has significant implications for the Indo-Pacific and beyond. With camera person Anil Thakur, Shubhendu Ghosh for DT India in Tokyo.
And we'll be covering that visit extensively with Shubhendu as and when it starts. The PM departs a little later tonight. Now, India and Bangladesh have agreed to curb trans-border crimes during DG-level border talks by adopting extra precautionary measures such as increasing coordinated patrols and enhancing vigilance. The agreement came and was issued by Indian Border Security Force and Border Guard Bangladesh upon the completion of the 4-day Director General level of border conference in Dhaka. Both the sides also agreed to remain cautious and steadfast to stop smuggling through sharing of real-time information, investigation reports of traffickers, and remaining extra vigilant to curb such crimes. Both the delegations reiterated their zero-tolerance stance against any armed insurgent groups operating across the border and agreed to take necessary measures to prevent any kind of terrorist activities through real-time information sharing. India's Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi, who is in Algeria, interacted with the nation's Chief of Military Training, Major General Aumari. The leaders discussed about training methodologies, professional military education, sharing of best practices and potential exchange programs for officers and cadets. The aim of this discussion was to strengthen institutional linkages between the two armies. The Chief of Army Staff also interacted with the representatives of military industries in Algeria. They focused on avenues of cooperation between India and Algeria in defense production, technology and innovation. Amid the current flood-like conditions in Punjab, India's western state, several villages across more than 10 districts are affected due to heavy discharge of water from Bhakra, Pong and Ranjit Sagar dams. Water is also being regulated through headworks to manage the flow. Heavy rainfall in the hills in the catchment areas of rivers Satluj, Ravi and Beas flowing through Punjab have caused floods. The Punjab government has declared holidays in all schools across the state till the 30th of August, which is Saturday. The Indian Army, in response to the massive floods in parts of Punjab, has deployed Army aviation helicopters for flood relief and rescue operations. The Indian Army's Additional Director General of Public Information has posted a video of rescue on its official X handle. In one such incident, a rescue effort was undertaken in Lassian and Gurdaspur areas, which comprised of multiple shuttles by 3 Cheetah helicopters of the Army aviation units. The heroic and timely action resulted in the evacuation of 27 civilians. The Indian Army remains committed to providing all necessary assistance and support to ensure the safety of all citizens during this time of crisis. Now, the world's largest financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, that's the PMJDY, completed 11 years today. To mark the occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote on social media, and I quote, "When the last mile is financially connected, the entire nation moves forward together." That is exactly what the PM Jan Dhan Yojana achieved. It enhanced dignity and gave people the power to script their own destiny. End quote. Some sports update now, and PV Sindhu has proved that she is far from finished with the performance for the ages at the BWF World Championships in Paris on Thursday. The 30-year-old rediscovered her vintage touch as she dismantled world number 2 Wang Zhiyi, one of the season's most consistent shuttlers in straight games. With a commanding 21-17, 21-15 victory, Sindhu advanced to the quarterfinals of the BWF World Championships for the first time since 2021. Sindhu displayed flashes of the form that had taken her to an Olympic silver medal in Rio and a World Championship gold in 2019, attacking with relentless aggression. Tennis now, Novak Djokovic overcame an early scare to reach the third round, while Casper Ruud has been knocked out of the US Open in New York. Djokovic, who's chasing a record 25th Grand Slam title, recovered from a set down against American qualifier Zachary Swiatek to win 6-7, 6-3, 6-3, 6-1. The 38-year-old Serbian has reached the third round at the tournament for a record equaling 19th time, where he will face Britain's Cameron Norrie. In other action, Norwegian 12th seed and 2022 US Open finalist Casper Ruud fell to Belgium's Rafael Collignon. In the 3.5 hours contest, the Belgian, who was only playing his second Grand Slam, ended up winning the 5-set thriller 6-4, 3-6, 3-6, 6-4, 7-5. And Britain's Jack Draper had to withdraw due to injury, giving his second-round opponent Zizou Bergs a walkover into the third round. The withdrawal of Draper clears Yannick Sinner's path towards defending his title. But this man could get in his way. Carlos Alcaraz powered into the third round of the US Open on Wednesday with a dominant win over Italy's Matteo Bellucci. The Spaniard broke his opponent's serve 7 times without facing a single break point. Alcaraz admitted afterwards that memories of last year's shock second-round exit were still weighing on his mind. Footballer Lionel Messi's Inter Milan defeated 10-man Orlando City 3-1 in the Leagues Cup semi-final at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Messi scored twice, while the Lasco Segovia scored the third goal to lead Miami into the final. Miami won the 2023 Leagues Cup, defeating Nashville on penalties after a 1-1 draw. Sunday's final offers Inter Miami another shot at silverware and qualification for the CONCACAF Champions Cup 2026. Inter Miami will now face Seattle Sounders in the final on Sunday. Sounders defeated Los Angeles Galaxy 2-0 in the second semi-final. In cricket, Sri Lanka has announced a 17-member squad for the 3-match T20 international series against Zimbabwe. Hasaranga hurt his hamstring during a T20I series against Bangladesh in July and was omitted from the squad. Sri Lanka will look to the likes of Mahesh Theekshana and Dunit Viralage to fill the breach in their spin department. Experienced all-rounder Charit Asalanka will lead the Asian side as captain in the series. The bulk of the squad has plenty of experience with the likes of Pathum Nisanka, Kusal Mendes, Kusal Pereira and Dasun Chinaka. The T20I series with Zimbabwe starts from the 3rd of September in Harare and finishes just before the commencement of the Asia Cup on the 9th of September. And that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen, download the app. And that's all we have, but we'll be back for more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.